aspect. I'll begin on an unfortunate note. Our promised interview with the Lost Brazilian will not be going up anytime soon. We did encounter some challenges as recording that show. We recorded and then we lost the recording. Uh, quite was a very interesting show, worth about 1 hour and 30 minutes or so of recording, but it is what it is, occupational hazard. But we move on regardless. Anyways, I thought I shouldn't let the day go by without us having the chat, especially in the aftermath of the results that we did witness last night. Arsenal disappointing in their efforts to try and reawaken their title hopes as Liverpool extended that gap at the summit of the Premier League. Um, so the results were as follows. Of course, I know you already know some of all these results by now, but for the sake of those that don't know, Liverpool did beat up against Newcastle by 2 goals to nil. Brentford were in a 1-1 draw with Everton, while Manchester United did beat up against Ipswich Town by 3 goals to 2. Nottingham Forest did share the Spurs with Aston Villa that goalless draw, while Man City did beat up against Tottenham Hotspurs by 1 goal to 0. Now we'll kick things off with Arsenal. Of course, it was a very disappointing night from the Gunners, given the display that we did watch. They did not give themselves a chance to win that game, but Ricardo Calafiori hitting the upright. There was a lot to be desired. Yes, they did look much better than they were against West Ham, but still it was never enough to beat up against a team like Nottingham Forest. They did manage to limit Nottingham Forest's attacking threats in Carl Hudson-Odoi, the likes of Anthony Langa and Chris Wood, Morgan Gibbs-White. They managed to neutralize those threats, but they did not just do enough to create the chances that they desired on the other end of the pitch to get a result. You saw Martin Odegaard once again still down in form, lacking in ideas. He kept on passing the ball, sideways and that kind of thing. Nothing really clear cut, no clear cut chance. Zichenko was brought on for Jorginho in the second half. You hoped he would try and conjure out something for the Gunners, but it was never meant to be for him. The Arsenal attack was quite bland. By the time Ricardo Carafiori steps up to come and hit the upright. Hello, Rashid. Thanks for joining the live broadcast. By the time Ricardo Carafiori comes up to hit the upright, who, by the way, subsequently was withdrawn at halftime because he had already been cautioned, given that yellow card that he had received in the second minute for a pull on Callum Hudson-Odoi. So clearly, that tells you the kind of limited threat that Arsenal did have going forward. Because had they had the potential or the right players to go forward, then possibly wouldn't be speaking about Ricardo Carafiori being the one to hit the upright, especially in open play and that kind of thing. But never mind, Mikel Moreno was reduced to a pedestrian in the game. Hi, Figen. I hope I pronounced your name rightly. Thanks for joining the broadcast. Mikel Moreno was reduced to a pedestrian in the game. Raheem Sterling was brought on, but again, he's one of those sort of regrettable signings that Arsenal have had in recent times. It has really not worked out for the England international. And then, of course, Ethan Nwaneri was easily neutralized. Again, Nottingham Forest, like West Ham, played low block. They were happy to defend. They were happy to wait for Arsenal and catch them on the break. And there was a moment or two of that particular incident, because what that gives Arsenal is that it sort of entices Arsenal to commit all their numbers up front, leaving just the two centre backs by themselves in William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. So usually when you have 1, 2, 3 quick players that can run onto the ball, it usually sort of gives the other team the advantage, because they get oftentimes caught up. And we've seen one too many times David Raya stepping up to save the team. Anak Hi, Anak. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining the broadcast. Like I was saying, we've seen David Wire step up more than once to come and, literally play as a defender because the team has, left so much space between themselves and the goalkeeper or the last man who usually are at the center line or somewhere in there. So clearly, it, it's a result that once again we echoed Arsenal's problems, their lack of attacking options, their lack of vigor going forward, the sort of lack of sharpness in their midfield in terms of their creativity and all that kind of thing. So the game did end in a goalless draw, and then we'll move straight away from Arsenal and move to Liverpool, who did extend their point lead at the summit of the Premier League table to 13 points, thanks to that 2-0 victory over Newcastle. Newcastle were without their striker in Alexander Isak, who by the way has 19 goals to his tally. He did miss that game through a groin injury. And Carl Wilson was given the nod ahead, I think, for his first start in the Premier League this season. He did miss a very golden opportunity in that particular game. And then, of course, it was Dominic Szoboszlai, just like he did at the weekend against Man City, that he was on target to give Liverpool the lead. And then, of course, Mo Salah continued with his star-laden season when he provided the assist to Alexis McAllister for Liverpool's second goal. So, brilliant game of football we did watch. Liverpool were always a threat going forward. Nick Pope made a couple of saves. Of course, they did miss a couple of chances, but that all notwithstanding, Arne Slot was not on the touchline because he had started serving his 2-match ban for the red card he was handed in the aftermath of the Everton game in that 2-all draw in the Merseyside derby. So the 2-0 victory does send Liverpool 13 points, clear at the top of the Premier League summit, while Arsenal, with the game in hand, linger 13 points behind. So even if they win their game in hand, they simply can only reduce those points to 10 points. And then, of course, Mo Salah increasing his numbers, 25 goals, 17 assists, is quite remarkable for the star, who, by the way, has 5 goals in the UEFA Champions League and 5 assists. He's quite having the season of his life. In the Premier League, he's having what? A 42 goal involvement at this stage in the season after 28 games. So clearly, I do not think it comes any better than that for a Premier League forward. And he was speaking recently and was saying that Liverpool fans will not sit there and say he did not give his all for the time he has been with them because he's yet to sign a new contract. We are waiting to see if he will get signed one or this is arguably his last season at Anfield. And if that is the case, where does he potentially end up? Because he's looking even sharper than he was 5 years ago, and yet he's in his 30s and that kind of thing. So very promising from the Egyptian, who, by the way, we are all tipping to go ahead and win the Ballon d'Or. Should he go ahead to win the Premier League? Should he possibly win the UEFA Champions League? And perhaps the Carabao Cup, for which they will be meeting Newcastle in the finals sometime in March. So it did look like a preview of what we should expect when the two sides meet in Wembley for the Carabao Cup final, because Newcastle, although I thought that they would pose a threat, Liverpool quickly neutralized that. Liverpool has been quite phenomenal this season, and it's no surprise where they are on the Premier League table and the results they've managed to record and up until this stage in the season. So very, very remarkable result that there for Arne Slot, who I think will be eager to get his hands on that Premier League silverware and dethrone Pep Guardiola, who has won it for the last 4 consecutive seasons. Speaking of Pep Guardiola, he managed to redeem himself from that 2-0 defeat over the weekend against Liverpool as they beat up against Tottenham Hotspurs by a goal to nil. They had found the second through Bart Erling Haaland, but that goal was cancelled out by VAR, or that's the video assistant referee. But again, Erling Haaland's goal was enough to secure all 3 points for Pep Guardiola's side as they continue to push on to see that they at least finish within the top 4 places and that kind of thing. So we won't dwell so much on that Man City side. In the other game, Everton continued with their unbeaten run under the charges of David Moyes when they shared the spoils in a 1-all draw at the GTEC Stadium against Brentford. So clearly, it's a result that we did expect here on Football Tribe. For those of you that do follow us identically, again, like the case was in that game, the case was with that game of Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Our prediction was a draw, but anything changing. And indeed, it was a goalless draw. And same applies for the Brentford versus Everton game. I just read your comment. Anak says, I really like your live. What country are you from? I am English. I hail from Kampala, Uganda. That's in the Pearl of Africa. It's in the eastern part of Africa, or East Africa, but the country is Uganda. Yeah, but thank you for tuning on to this live broadcast. So, like I was saying, Everton with that 1-all draw against Brentford to extend their unbeaten run. They've had a couple of draws in there. The other was against Liverpool in a 2-all draw, and then the other against Manchester United over the weekend in another 2-all draw. But then they continue to look very good. Of course, it was Johan Vesa who scored to give Thomas Franklin's side the lead, but that was cancelled out in the second half by O'Brien who scored to restore parity for David Moyes' side. So those were the results that we did witness from the Premier League. That's on Wednesday night, and action does continue today on Thursday night when West Ham United do face off with Leicester City. Now, if you're West Ham United, in the good spirits, on the back of beating up against a team like Arsenal over the weekend in that 1-0 victory, thanks to Gerard Bowen's goal, then you should fancy yourself really to go ahead and beat up against a team like Leicester City, who are just fighting their way out of relegation and to no success at the moment. So clearly, Graham Potter should fancy his chances to go ahead and beat up against a good Vanestroy. My thinking is that although they've blown hot and cold over the course of the season, this is an opportunity for West Ham to win at least 2 consecutive games, and that should, really encourage them. That result against Arsenal, not that Arsenal are in any better position in regards to recent form, but clearly, if there's any motivation you need it for you to go ahead and beat up against a team like Leicester City, especially when you're at home at the London Stadium, then that victory against Arsenal should give you enough encouragement going into that fixture. So, and then so those were the results from the Premier League match day 27. Of course, like I mentioned, it was match day 28 for Liverpool, for them having played that game against Aston Villa last week. And then, with those results, here is a look at the top 5 on the Premier League table. Liverpool 67 points, Arsenal 54 points, that's a point gap of 30 points, and Nottingham Forest at 48 in that place, while Man City in 4th place have 47 points, and Chelsea complete the top 5 with 46 points. Now, Chelsea, of course, have suffered in recent times. There was a time we were having them in the title conversation, but that doesn't seem to have come to fruition. And however, Enzo Maresca continuously will predict that yes, they were having a good moment, they were winning their games, but they were nowhere near the title conversation, and that has been proven correct over the course of the longer spell of the season, as they fell off the wagon in between there. Because when you look at their last 5 fixtures, they've won 2, beating up against Southampton by 4-0, and then beating up against West Ham United, I think, by 2-1, and they lost 3 in the last 5, losing to Man City by 3-1, losing to Aston Villa by 2-1, and losing to Brighton and Hove Albion by 3-0. So clearly, form has not been on their side in recent times, and that has clearly shown. Never mind that they've suffered, injuries that have cost them potential key players, the likes of Roman Lavia, and then of course in that defense. We all remember the likes of Wesley Fofana suffering those kinds of injuries. But never mind, I do think that this is a very good test season overall for Chelsea to measure where they are in their, in their team rebuild under the charges of Enzo Maresca, which I think has gone really, really well by all counts and measures. Yes, there's so much to correct in terms of to make them title contenders. In terms of maybe getting another striker, we all know that Christopher Nkunku could end up leaving the club in the summer. There was interest from Bayern Munich in the course of the January transfer window, although they did not make much headway on that. And then we all know that they would want to sign a goalkeeper, and Aaron Ramsdale is one of those goalkeepers that have been pointed in that direction. Yes, despite signing Philippe Jorgensen, he doesn't seem to be like he will be their solid number one in the long run as things stand at the moment. And yet Robert Sanchez is also been in and out of form as far as this particular season is concerned. So those are the things that I thought we should tackle up or talk about in this particular edition of this live broadcast. So do let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for always joining the live broadcast. Thank you for the time you dedicate to watching our content. And those of you that watch this live broadcast much later, I would not take the time for granted. Do not forget to leave a like, comment, share, and do subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to grow. Otherwise, maybe before I do sign out, very soon we'll be speaking about Manchester City. I know I've promised you this conversation one too many times, but eventually it will come around when we get to speak to Manchester, when we get to speak about Manchester City and their, their potential squad rebuild that has already kicked off with the signing of Kushano, Vita Reis, the likes of Omar Mamouche, and Nico Gonzalez. And then, of course, we do expect major departures, the likes of Kyle Walker, KDB, Bernardo Silva, and players of the likes. So, do let me know what your thoughts are. But just as a footnote, Real Madrid did beat up against Real Sociedad in the Copa del Rey semi-finals. Henry scoring that goal with Jake Bellingham, providing the assist there to win 1-0 against Real Sociedad. They will wait to meet in this return leg to determine who progresses to the final, while the other second semi-final, Barcelona did share the spoils with Atletico Madrid in a 4-all draw. They also await for a return leg to decide who could advance to the finals of the Copa del Rey. It is possible that we could have an El Clasico for the finals of the Copa del Rey, or it could be a Madrid derby between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, depending on who advances on which side. So, but things are looking positive for Real Madrid, while for Barcelona, we are waiting to see if they can overturn the hopes. But that display going to go down early on in the first half did not send any promising signals. However, they did redeem themselves to come back and restore parity and eventually make the difference to 4-2. But again, they did concede 2 goals that ended the game in a 4-4 draw. So clearly, those are the things that I thought we should discuss on today's edition of the Footballtribeug. Thank you for always tuning in, and have a wonderful rest of the afternoon or evening, morning, depending on which country you've been tuned into this broadcast. Thank you. Stay blessed, and I'll see you next time.